Hello everyone, my name is Dustin Mayfield. Welcome to another Creo short video. We're going to show you kind of how to go from two separate parts, create an assembly, and then create a drawing. So some very simple steps. It's meant for people who are relatively new with CAD or are coming from a different CAD system such as SolidWorks. That way you know the general modeling procedures and you're not lost with different buttons and you can't figure out how to create a drawing. So we're going to walk you through it. It's very simple to do, and we'll get started here. So we have these two parts here. We have a key handle, which is just a cylinder with these two extrusions on the end, and then we have our key base. Our goal and intent is to create an assembly with this key base and our key handle. So we're going to go to New Part and choose New Assembly is what we actually want here. We're going to title this Chuck Assembly. Chuck Assem is good. We'll deselect Use Default Template. We'll go ahead and select our assembly template. Now this is something that there's default ones in Creo that match your unit system you will have, or you can create your own. This is pretty common in CAD where you have a blank a blank template with just unit systems and sometimes parameters in here depending on what your company has. But for now, this is just blank. It has a default unit system. So we'll go to Assemble, and we'll choose which what we want to put in first. So let's put in the key base. Okay. Now this is what it's important to see is under Status, you want to make sure this is fully constrained. So to fully constrain it, for now, just since this is our first part in an assembly, this is important to remember that for the first part in assembly, you want to set a default constraint. So now it's just default constrained. It's just in an arbitrary position, but now it's fully constrained, and that means we are done. We can move on to the next component. But you want to make sure all these components are fully constrained, otherwise it won't let you get out of that toolbar. So next step we want to do is assemble again and choose our key handle, and it comes in here in an arbitrary position, and we're going to have to constrain this. Right now there's no constraints on it. And there's a few things you can do. You can always select what constraint you want to do, whether you want it to be a pin or rigid or a slider, and how you can and what the actual constraint is, if a distance or a parallel constraint or a fixed constraint. So we're going to choose automatic for now, and I love this tool because you can quickly select the surface and then drag to where you want it to be constrained to. So we want to be constrained into this cylinder up here. Okay, and so the next thing you see up here in the status is partially constrained. We can't fully constrain it yet, so we need to add one more constraint. As you can see, it can still rotate and move and slide. So what we're going to do is choose this surface right here. I'm going to come over here, and I want to constrain to the back side of this part. So instead of rotating my part like that, all I have to do is right-click. And there's a smart selection where it's going to choose that. Oh, I just missed it, didn't I? I'm sorry, I keep missing it. It's easier than that. I'm sorry, I made it look a little hard. But you just have to right-click and select that surface. There's a smart selection tool. It's easier than how I made it look, so I apologize for that. But now it's fully constrained, and we're going to go ahead and hit this green check mark. Okay, and there's a few things you can do inside the assembly as well. You can actually make geometry changes with the actual parts. In order to do that, you can't just click the part and then you can change obviously the constraint, but you can't make changes to that part. In order to do it, you have to activate it. So if you right click it and go to activate, the part it suppresses essentially the other parts, and you can double click this and actually make a geometry change. So if I set this to 30, as you can see, nothing changes. I get this yellow status indicator saying I need to regenerate the model. So I can make a bunch of changes, but it won't quite change visually yet. So I'll have to go up here to the top left and hit regenerate, and now regenerate the entire model, keeping the constraints that we had before, but just regenerating that model. We can also open the part if you want to. We can also right click and go to open and make geometry changes inside the actual model tree itself. But sometimes if you want to do a basic geometry change or just change the length, you can do it within the assembly, and that will reflect in your actual part file, the one that we just opened. All right, so the next steps we want to do is create a drawing. So we actually want to create a drawing of the key handle. So if I go back to the key handle with this window selection up here, I have this key handle. I'll go to New up top, select Drawing, deselect Use Default Template, and we'll title this Key Handle. And this will have a .drw extension indicating that it's a drawing file. So we have the default model selected, the key handle, which is correct. We want to use a template. We're going to browse the template we want to use. And we have a student template here. All this is it gives default views for us to use and a title block that's pre-made. You usually will have this with your company, whoever you're working with. You can always make these yourselves. Just let me reposition this, and you can see the title block down here. It's a very standard one. It also has these default views, so we can already see the model that's come in here. And this bottom left corner, I'm not sure if it's hard for you guys to see, but in this bottom left corner, we can select the scale and rescale it. So I'm gonna enter 6 for this. Let's see if that's too large. Let's do a little bit larger. Let's make this 8. You'd probably have this a little smaller, but just for this demo purpose, we can kind of see it. Now to move this these dimensions, I apologize. To move these dimensions, you just want to click on them and you can drag them. Right? You can drag them and reposition them however you really want. Right? If I want to move this 7, this indication of 7 as being the diameter of this extrusion here, we want to move it over here. We just right click it and we can go to move to view and choose that view, and it will move over here, and then we can go ahead and move this however we want, indicating that's a 7-inch or 7mm diameter there. And all these other ones can be repositioned. You can lock them in certain places. You can flip them. But this is pretty straightforward. This is pretty standard with all CAD systems. But you can always move these. You could add more dimensions as well. We won't get into that quite now. But there's a bunch of tools and things you can do to choose certain dimensions. I'll kind of just show you an example right here, right? And we have this now labeled as 4. You can add notes, you can add balloons. That's a little bit more advanced. We just kind of want to stick to the basics for now. I hope you enjoyed this. This is part 2. We'll have some future segments kind of getting into more of the advanced areas of Creo. Thanks so much. I hope you guys have a good day.